Ever pondered the difference between analytical and critical thinking? It's a question that might have crossed your mind at some point. You see, while they may seem similar, these two modes of thought have distinctive traits and different applications. Understanding the distinction is key to employing the right thinking style in various situations. It can be a game changer in decision-making, problem-solving, and even in our day-to-day interactions. Stay tuned as we dissect these two intriguing modes of thought. Analytical thinking, a term often thrown around, but what does it truly entail? Let's delve into this cognitive process that plays a vital role in our daily lives. Analytical thinking is the systematic approach to dissecting a problem, examining each component carefully, and making informed decisions based on that analysis. In other words, it's a method of thinking that helps you break down complex information into manageable parts. One of the key characteristics of analytical thinking is being detail-oriented. This means you don't just skim the surface. Instead, you dive deep into the details, scrutinizing each element to understand its role and impact on the bigger picture. It's like being a detective, sifting through clues to piece together a coherent story. Another crucial trait of analytical thinking is its logical nature. As an analytical thinker, you rely on logic to draw conclusions. You don't let emotions cloud your judgment. Rather, you follow the trail of facts and data wherever they lead, even if it's not where you initially expected. Being systematic is also a notable feature of analytical thinking. It's not a haphazard process. It's methodical, disciplined, and organized. You follow a clear, logical path, step by step, to reach a conclusion. Think of it like putting together a jigsaw puzzle. You sort the pieces, group them by color or pattern, and then methodically fit them together to form the overall picture. Lastly, analytical thinking is objective. It doesn't entertain biases or preconceived notions. It's all about viewing things from a neutral perspective, allowing the facts to guide your understanding and decision-making. So, how does analytical thinking serve us? Well, it's instrumental in problem-solving, decision-making, and data analysis. Whether it's deciding which route to take to work, solving a math problem, or analyzing a business report, analytical thinking comes into play. It helps us understand complex situations, make sense of data, and make decisions that are both logical and informed. In essence, analytical thinking is your mental toolbox for dissecting problems and making informed decisions. It's the Sherlock Holmes in all of us, using clues and logic to solve mysteries and make sense of the world around us. Now let's shift gears to critical thinking. Is it just a fancier term for analytical thinking? Well, not quite. While both require a sharp mind, they have distinctive traits that set them apart. To delve into the realm of critical thinking, we first need to understand what it is. Critical thinking is a mental process that involves reflective and evaluative thinking. It's about being skeptical, questioning assumptions, and not taking things at face value. It's about being open, yet discerning. It's about looking beyond the surface, probing deeper, and seeking clarity. Think of critical thinking as a detective. The detective doesn't just collect clues. They analyze them, yes, but they also question them, doubt them, and evaluate them. They don't merely accept the evidence as it is. They scrutinize it, they test it, they challenge it. And it's this rigorous interrogation of facts and evidence that leads to well-reasoned conclusions. Let's talk about the characteristics of critical thinking. One of the key traits is reflectiveness. Critical thinkers don't rush to conclusions. They take time to reflect, to mull over the information before making a judgment. They are patient, thoughtful, and deliberate. Another characteristic is being evaluative. Critical thinkers assess the quality of information. They don't just absorb facts, they evaluate them. They assess the credibility of sources, the validity of arguments, and the relevance of the information. And then there's skepticism. Critical thinkers are naturally skeptical. They question everything. They challenge assumptions. They are wary of biases and fallacies. They don't just believe, they seek to understand. In essence, the role of critical thinking is to question assumptions, to evaluate information, and to formulate well-reasoned arguments. It's about making informed decisions, about being an active learner rather than a passive recipient of information. Critical thinking, in a nutshell, is your mental shield, allowing you to question, evaluate, and reason. It's a tool that sharpens your mind, enhances your understanding, and strengthens your decision-making ability. It's not just about thinking, it's about thinking well. Now that we have a grasp on both, it's time to put analytical and critical thinking head-to-head. Analytical thinking is like a master locksmith, meticulously working on a complex lock. It's all about breaking a problem down into smaller, digestible chunks, examining each in detail. It's like pulling apart the pieces of a puzzle, studying them, and then methodically putting them back together. It's the process that digs deep, seeking to understand the how and why of things. On the flip side, critical thinking is the seasoned detective, piecing together clues to form a bigger picture. It's less about the individual pieces and more about how they come together. It's the process that steps back, looking at the situation as a whole, questioning assumptions and making judgments. It sees beyond the surface, delving into the realm of what could be or should be. While both forms of thinking have their own distinctive traits, they are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they complement each other perfectly. Think about it. Without analytical thinking, we wouldn't have the detailed knowledge to feed our critical thoughts. And without critical thinking, we wouldn't have the ability to question, evaluate, and make decisions based on the information we've analyzed. In essence, both analytical and critical thinking play a pivotal role in our cognitive processes. They're like two sides of the same coin, each essential for a full understanding and effective decision-making. While they may seem similar, analytical and critical thinking each have their unique role in our cognitive processes. So let's wrap up our exploration of analytical and critical thinking. We've journeyed through the intricate corridors of the mind to understand these two distinct ways of thinking. On one hand, we have the analytical mind, the one that breaks problems down into smaller, more manageable parts. It's the mechanic of the mind, always looking to understand how things work and fit together. On the other hand, we have the critical thinker, the one that doesn't just accept things at face value. It's the detective of the mind, always questioning, always probing, always seeking the truth. Understanding the difference between these two ways of thinking is essential. It's like the difference between a surgeon and a detective. Both are vital, both require immense skill, but they serve different purposes. Remember, being a good thinker means knowing when to dissect a problem analytically and when to question it critically. Until next time, keep thinking.